Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us for this Lovestream today
Yes.
and this series weekly. And we're really glad to have you by recording or live here in the room with us. And we have a couple sound bowls at our side here, which we didn't think you needed to see per se. So we're snuggled in closer to the camera.
Yeah, we look good on Facebook.
Okay.
We're blinking. I'm not sure why we're blinking like that.
Oh. Oh, we stopped.
Okay.
Maybe we're just getting seated. Just checking a little bit of tech as we do.
Yeah. Sounds and looks great. Oh, good.
Okay, good to hear. Thank you, Rihanna.
So whatever was going on with the blinking seems to be better now, which is good.
I just saw it again.
Yeah. Rihanna, are you seeing blinking on Facebook?
A flashing of a blue screen, actually.
Maybe it's okay now. Hopefully we don't have something interfering. We're still figuring out the technology around all of this.
Yes. We're streaming to two different platforms.
Interesting. It's saying there's no device on camo. We're not sure why that is. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's working, so we're just gonna go with it.
It's good on YouTube as well.
Okay. I don't know why I'm seeing that on mine. Is anyone else seeing flashing
on the YouTube? Sorry, on the Facebook stream.
Okay.
Okay. We're gonna trust it, and you're here.
We're here. Good. Okay.
And we want to invite you out of the foyer and into the sanctuary with just a moment of presence shared with each of us, feeling the dedication of this time together. The intention is a very powerful alchemy that co-creates the space and prepares your heart and your soul and parts of you to receive in a higher vibrational space. Also accessing the Lion's Gate portal codes that you, existing in time and space and matter, are one with these planetary phenomenons that offer you gifts.
We'll take a moment as well, just knowing you're coming from different places and energies, and some of you and us having had a very full day already, and just to let any energies move out of your field, ground down into Gaia, releasing especially anything that isn't yours, truly. So that you can receive whatever you're meant to today, on whatever level you're meant to receive it.
Yes. Good things happen here. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of my higher self all the days of my life.
Speaking of soul aspects.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, I'll just change it to.
Okay.
Well, hopefully that helped. into the room and with us and in presence with us.
Yes.
Hmm.
It did.
So this
For me.
is, yeah, it did for me too, actually. So this is the fifth in our series connected to Lionsgate. And of course, next week will be August 8th will be our Lionsgate transmission. And then we will be shifting that to Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And people are sharing with me that they feel like this series is activating things in different ways. They're not fully tracking or understanding necessarily, but that it's opening up heart field, soul field, to receive, to become aware, to be more conscious. When we started this with the 7-7, just opening up whatever connected to the Sirius gateway then, and then we went into I believe the body,
Yes.
to allow the body to be with us through this.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went into the emotional body so that it could come along with us. It's kind of like coming online. It reminds me of a modem with the lights coming on. Yeah. And this was how I was guided to structure it without really understanding why or how, but sometimes it's just like that. And the next light that came on was last week when we talked about relationships, resonance and dissonance. And that really seemed to resonate with quite a few people who shared with me in sessions afterwards about it. So that was interesting. So that's like the social body, we could say. And then today we'll be focused on the soul field, access, consciousness, wrapping up next week with Lionsgate. Just wanted to do an overview. And all of those 5 that we've previously done and this one are available as recordings on Facebook and YouTube. So you can take them all in whenever you want, at whatever order you want, in whatever timing aligns for you, which may not be necessarily when we offered them.
Now, Jelelle, as we were talking just before this Lovestream, you really highlighted some beautiful pieces that felt wanted to be woven into this little teaching portion.
Yeah.
And I really honor how this lives in you. It's such a passion, so poignantly
soul passion,
active, poignantly available. I coined a new word today in my video, and I called it, instead of responsible, it was resourceable. Resource available, and you feel like certainly a divine resource to me. But this piece, you really led this on the access of soul aspects and soul timelines, and not just to highlight a couple things that I know you want to share about as different from just feeling a regression of a memory being dropped into a memory, but creating a living relationship with it, and then how this affects our relationship with the idea of karma and healing these recapitulating timelines that could be playing out in our lives just as something that we're not even in. It's just a pattern in our life. It's just a reality. This and this and this is a big part of what I'm wrestling, but to connect it at this level and find out where it lives in your soul field is to go to a deep, profound quantum source. And in all of this, what we're talking about and feeling today is developing a relationship with these parts and these soul aspects. So even as we're getting to know aspects from this life, inner child, inner teenager, I think next week we're thinking of inner child.
That's our group call.
Oh, group call. Yeah. Well, there you go.
Which is a 2-hour call that you can be in Zoom with us. That's a donation amount. We'll share more about that.
Yeah.
Coming up.
But this magic of getting to know parts from this life is very altering, and it really serves and opens out this soul field connection. But in this soul field domain, we get to know, similarly to getting to know parts from this life, we're getting to know parts of our soul that span other timelines. And that's where a quantum shift occurs. And so I know You have some deep experience to offer, and I'm going to listen.
Well, first of all, I just wanted to say, if you haven't yet, my book, Free to Be 5D, I share a lot about connecting to what we call the metasoul field, and what that is, and why we approach it the way that we do. And as you were talking, I was kind of feeling like, why and when did this start happening for me? Like approaching it this way with soul aspects and other lifetimes. And I always had struggled once I was awakening a lot, actively 20 years ago now, with past lives. Even using those two words together didn't feel right to me. And what happened is, very organically, I share about this process in our other book, Raphael and I wrote, Under the Bloated Banyan, is about our time where all of this magic happened, with parts of ourselves opened up through this group that we were part of, and with each other eventually. Most of the book is about our solo journeys and then coming together. There it is.
Under the Bloated Banyan.
So I talk about in that book Sister Mary Therese, I think. I can't totally remember her name. CMT, I called her for short. And this was the first soul aspect that just came through. I was working with my inner child, my what was called a sentinel or a protector at the time. And I was kind of doing that work. And then what happened was, I believe this is how she came through. I was in the shower, and I suddenly got this very visceral feeling of literally kneeling on glass, like glass shards, and my knees. I just thought it was mine at first. I thought it was a part, but this was not a memory from this life. I had never done this, obviously. As having a nun's habit and lifting up the habit and kneeling on glass and bleeding, my knees bleeding. And I literally, with my third eye, could see the blood rushing down my legs. And it was just guttural sobbing. And I came out of that and I was like, what was that? That was one of my first visceral feelings of this bleed through, as we call it. And I asked my teacher at the time, like, is this apart from this life? I mean, this clearly is not a memory from this lifetime. I have never done this. And he said something like, oh, you have a past, he called it past lives. Oh, you have a past life coming through as a nun. And okay. And, renunciation toward God, the flagellation.
Renunciation toward the world.
To the world, false God. I was even going to go to a church service with her. But one thing that was unique was the way I was with this. I wasn't really seeing this in anyone else in this group in quite the same way, that I was treating her just like a part of me. And I was working with her that way. And I worked with her for many months, and he supported me to do that, but it wasn't necessarily his approach, or right. Because I don't think so. This was just something really natural to me. Why wouldn't I have a relationship with her? I couldn't see her as past. In my emotional response to her, there was nothing past about what was going on for her. I could say, oh, she located herself in whatever, the 1600s timeline. And then as I awakened quantumly, which happened later on, actually, mostly when we lived off grid, which I also wrote about, a lot of books, in this book called Keep Waking Up. What I could see as I lifted up out of the karmic field, in the karmic field, a lot of it's unconscious to us. It's a veiled and foggy. 90% of people, maybe even 99% of people, are just fused into the karmic field and just right in this reality. And there is no consciousness of other lifetimes whatsoever. No space at all. No awareness. Space. My soul has gifts of being able to access other lifetimes. That's clear, especially as a priestess. But for this is, I think, the first lifetime in this. Oh,
I didn't have my microphone on.
First time in this density where I was able to lift up and out of the karmic field and see above it and feel above it, and be able to relate to higher dimensional aspects from there, bring them in and go down into the karmic field. And this is after a lot of work over a number of years with my Gatekeeper, which for those of you who do our work know about that. But for those who don't, the gatekeeper is sort of like the protector of the soul field. So the gatekeeper keeps all the veils down. I've done, so many sessions with gatekeepers of people. So it feels, and you have too, it feels really universal. And it's sort of like the warden, like it's not a jail, but they've got, sometimes one even showed me a bunch of keys that they were holding. Long hallways with many doors is how this will show up. And these,
butler today with my session.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, a wizard, they'll show up as Gandalf, or it's whatever they want to be. I've seen, they've showed me computer screens. So a bunch of screens representing each lifetime. This is what they're showing is, this is the access point. I have the access to all of these timelines. And in their reality, they know where they're located in linear time. But in the gatekeeper's reality, they aren't linear. And these aspects, especially the ones that are karmic, which is, as I was saying to you, equivalent, thanks for letting me go off just a bit here, which is equivalent to trauma. Please let me know if you have any questions, by the way. This is a lot in one swoop. That's why I recommend the book. The gatekeeper is aware. It's one of them said to me, it's like watching horror movies all the time. That's the only thing I get to really watch. And the gatekeeper is sort of aware that there's some higher frequency things, that somewhere in there is heaven lifetimes, but they usually don't really have access to that. They're stuck in this void of fog. So whatever is unique to my soul, I could connect to this energy, to my gatekeeper, who opened up my field in this way and then helped me connect with many other gatekeepers over the years. And it's through this negotiation that they show you, they open doors, sometimes literally open a door for you, or they'll just pop you in to a timeline. But one of the things that we work with them around, the gatekeeper, is how to be with that, how to allow that to be gentle, for one thing, so that you aren't getting wiped out by the energies. I think a lot of what people are so overwhelmed by ascension energies is actually other lifetimes and aspects that are vibrating and wanting them to feel them, but they don't know how, or they don't have access, or they tell me I'm not clairvoyant, or I got a reading and I was told this and this and this, but I didn't see it myself and I'm not sure about it. I hear that all the time. So what we want to do, first of all, is bridge to an energy within you. It's not about us reading this out for you. I actually find that there's not a lot of usefulness in offering that information to someone, and the gatekeeper doesn't really like to do that. It's like a story. It's like watching a movie. It doesn't have any, but usually these lifetimes, these aspects start bleeding through in certain ways. And other times what you'll see is a trauma that's happening this life. And when you go into it, let's say it's a trauma of a separation of divorced parents or something, and you go into it and you can see an overlay of other lives where this exact same thing happened energetically. Even if the content wasn't the same, the emotional experience was the same. And that's what the gatekeeper starts unpacking. It's really amazing. It starts showing you, this is the pattern, because what it wants, once it wakes up and agrees, is to heal these patterns. And this is what your soul wants. If you're sitting here right now and you have access to this and you're listening to this, your soul wants you to complete these patterns. Otherwise, of course, you come back again in the same pattern, and you're living it out again. And this is also the unique opportunity of this ascension timeline. This is ascension to me. This is a really, really key part of it, is this reconciliation, what we call the 4D self, which includes this uplift out of the karmic field. There's a lot of people that focus so much on 5D, but don't get into the karmic field, which is where false light is. It's where shadow is, shadow reconciliation. It's where soul gifts are. It's where karmic patterns play out. It's where so much of what our body suffers comes from. If we don't go into 4D, I really question how much 5D they're even living in or accessing truly, because there is so much false light and there's so many traps. And there's so much that's keeping us in this place of being foggy because we've chosen it ultimately. So I hope that wasn't too overwhelming, and do let me know if you have a question connected to anything, any of the places that I just went. Was that a good summary?
That offers so much.
Yeah. I just want to say the real distinction here is this is an empowered, gentle way to connect to aspects in a real way. Not just, oh, I was, I hear this too. Oh, I was a witch in this lifetime and I was burned at the stake. That's pretty common for a lot of us. And I'll ask, did you feel that aspect? Did you connect with them afterwards? This might have happened in a regression session. And I'm not putting that down. It's just that you literally imagine it. Someone, another aspect of you comes into your timeline, goes to your deepest trauma, feels it, and then leaves. And these aspects feel totally abandoned and used. It's like, so what happened to that witch? She's not just a witch who got burned at the stake. She has a name. She has a reality. She has a world. What's her world? What's her name? What's her life? What's her dislikes? What are her soul gifts? And the beautiful thing is, the more you would connect to an aspect like that of the witch, she becomes a soul gift exchange with you, where you're getting her gifts of clairvoyance or whatever it is that got her in trouble that lifetime with your gifts this life. That is also, in my experience, how we actually upgrade. It's not exercises to open our third eye. That's not it. It's this reconciliation in our soul field to make it safe enough within our being and within our gatekeeper's reality and in our soul field to allow the gifts to come forward, because something like a persecution wound is so painful and so recapitulated over, we could say, lifetimes, that we need to be very patient with this healing. At the same time, it can be exponentially done. We don't have to feel every single lifetime as well. It's someone said to me, it's like, this is the representative of this wound of persecution or whatever it is. And that's exactly how I experience it as well. Oh, okay. Yeah. That's a lot more talking than I normally do, but it feels important to lay it out. Do you want to read Brianna's comment? It helps support what I...
Rihanna offered, it has been such a deep process to uncover these soul aspects, especially as someone who felt like I wouldn't have the capacity for this level of soul connection. The way that the process holds it makes it feel so accessible and validated once the parts are ready to go there. Thank you, Rihanna. That is really a big one, is getting exposed to this. That was one of my first. Do I have the capacity? I'm not natively as sensitive or as open. Storylines. And of course, there's some difference between the masculine and feminine. But the relationality that you've learned already, Rihanna and others on the call, with the inner child, the inner teenager, that same open heart is the sensitivity, and that is the capacity. So this is really about this whole thing happens, as you were mentioning earlier, about the people's relationship with the veil can be like, oh, we're here. You may have heard this out there, that we are in a matrix. It's a prison planet.
Incarnational trap.
We are in an incarnational trap, and we're looping. And there might well be a part of your soul who feels that as its reality and feels fused to that timeline. But in the higher sense of who you and I are, the veil is actually something that's given to you by your divine self, your higher self. Then as you and your higher self, divine self, celestial self,
I like divine self personally.
Yeah, it's divine self.
It's our word anyway for it.
Negotiate with, feel, and get to have relational space, then you're negotiating a self-loving lifting of the veil. If the veil wasn't here, I don't think we would have traction for any growth. There really wouldn't be any duality or tension, which are two necessary alchemical ingredients for the transformation we're all going through. But the biggest alchemy here is a setting of deep love, that we are love, we are with love, we are expressing as love. All of this is not to arrive at love. Eventually, it's in the context of love right now. And that should offer a deep hope and a deep balm to go into these suffering timelines with presence, curiosity, open heart, reconciliation, reunification.
I just want to, I want to say, when we look at the protector, they're so concerned about overwhelming the inner child, for example, or you, which they may associate as being much younger than you actually are. And we hear that a lot too. So that concern about going into this life trauma, just this one lifetime, and the trauma you've experienced in this lifetime, not to mention all of the timelines for which the trauma you experienced this timeline is actually sourced from, that's the gatekeeper. So they're not particularly, in my experience, a warrior. They don't have a weapon usually or anything like that, but their reticence to flood you with these other lifetimes is real, and we really respect it. So this is the other reason why we don't just drop into a timeline, and we're not in there saying you were this and you were that in another life. We go to the gate, we go to the protector to get access to this life trauma, and we go to the gatekeeper to get access to the soul field. And I've had circumstances where we were negotiating with the gatekeeper, me and the person I was working with, for quite a while, just to know them, because they don't even know who they are in all of this fog, right? But they've been tasked with this really important purpose, like you're saying. So we're trusting the divine in our souls on this one, that all of this was set up for our learning. And the issue is, or not the issue, but the new invitation, the upgrade. This is what we wanted to talk about today, is what is the upgrade here that's available, not just during Lionsgate, but this lifetime, is to complete this. And this is only really useful if you're sitting here and you're kind of saying, yeah, I want to complete it. That's what people, okay, yeah, I've had enough of this. I think I'm done now. But you need to have that feeling, because there's so much learning going on here. So the gatekeeper also helps us access if this is really what you've signed up for this life or not. And it's sacred if you haven't.
Yes.
For those souls who haven't, I'm not even sure how many of us really have. But we're leading something.
Thank you, Munai. Self-loving lifting of the veils. Yes, thank you for resonating on that. And the self-love to be the process ground. And Tristan, thank you for being here and sharing this soul family moment together.
The other thing I just wanted to say was that people will say, I was a witch, or I was this or that. And what we encourage is for them to separate, to differentiate from that. I'm doing this because it's kind of like pulling out of it, to watch it at first and then eventually feel it. So you are feeling the aspect. But it was like when I was describing about the blood going down, it felt like my body, and that gave me access to it. But then there was separation, because I knew this nun wouldn't get felt. She wouldn't get seen. It would just be what we call a fusion.
There was individuation.
What you're calling
separation.
Because I can't relate to her life at all. This is what I think confuses people about past lives. Is they're like, well, I can't relate to being a witch. So and then they just kind of block it out, is what I see. But if you see it as like a soul sister, a soul brother, You can't relate to everything in their lives, but there's a bond. You care about them. You want to help them heal. It's like that. You're really creating that kind of bond.
Yeah.
And especially initially. And that even just that loving bond, and you do that with your gatekeeper as well. And as you create this loving bond, they want to lift the veils. And what happens is the veil lifts, love. So you went from feeling like you couldn't really see or feel any other lifetimes to
feeling, it may have started as an interest, as a draw to a certain awareness, maybe Arthurian connection and feeling King Arthur.
Oh, that's a good example.
Or these soul guides, which are not particularly traumatized. They have things they want to resolve and feel and heal, but these are higher guide frequencies that are coming from somewhere into my awareness. And of course, I had this Christian, actual Christian lifetime, this lifetime. And so that was fascinating to me. In this process, rediscovering Yeshua as a beloved soul guide and feeling like I was with him in that lifetime. And what happens here is there's not this energy around the identification of the ego with like, I was King Arthur in that lifetime. I am the soul of King Arthur. No, there's no need to make that kind of a claim, I found, but to feel, I can feel whether I'm feeling the archetype of, or the ray of, or the...
You hold him as a brother, though.
I hold him as a brother, but I've also felt myself as him as well. And I haven't needed a whole bunch more distinction about that, and I haven't needed to go claiming anything. But then the individuation of feeling me in my timeline now, him in his, and the relational space is...
As you say, there's no need to claim it. There's no ego, there's no 3D ego involved in this process. When you're really feeling it, it isn't like when the ego claims I was Jesus and then creates a whole bunch of false light abuse and a cult of personality and manipulation around that. And that's something, again, that's a karmic soul pattern that needs to play out, that's sacred in its own way. But in this way of being with it, that doesn't happen because you're leading with your humble heart. Divine Mother especially is holding the space with a lot of compassion and love, like for Arthur. So you as this human, you can handle being with an energy as big as King Arthur and all of the projections onto that. And you're also helping heal the all.
Yes.
That's how I've experienced that as well.
Yes.
So you don't really care so much or distinguish so much as you literally were King Arthur or whoever or whatever the energy is. What you care about is the healing. What you care about is the connecting. And the way that it truly does impact your life in even practical ways. So this isn't also just an etheric or transcendent process. It's very much grounded in life.
Yes. We hope you're feeling a stirring and curiosity, and probably...
Oh, I like Rihanna's comment. If you...
Yeah, this one.
Sorry, love. Let me finish that thought.
I hope you're feeling an opening of your heart, curiosity, and that would be a quantum effect of just listening to this offering today.
This is very much an introduction to what is a multi-layered and complex process that unfolds over time. So if you're feeling a bit lost or it's a lot of information, like I said, my book now is on YouTube in audio version, the entire thing, and I'll share a description to it. And so obviously it's available in print on Amazon.
Audio in Jelelle's voice.
Yeah, and there's a whole chapter 4 is all about this. Is all about the gatekeeper and this kind of
really
kind
well
of karmic
explained.
karmic healing. So we're trying to condense something that took this many pages for me to write about into this very short period of time. So don't feel that you have to track or get all of it right now. It's kind of what it might stimulate, which is hopefully a sense of some empowerment around this.
Rihanna says, I found too that when you're drawn to things like certain times, places, or people, chances are there's a soul connection there. Egypt, for example, has been a draw, an interest to me for a long time. Thank you, Rihanna, and thank you, Maori. Hello, back to you, Maori. Thanks for joining us.
It's nice to see people on YouTube.
Yes.
Joining us, because we've been doing these on Facebook, and then a couple weeks ago decided to do both.
After we figured out a little bit of technology.
Yeah, I figured out how to do that. I love what you're saying there, Rihanna, because if you follow us, then you know what we say about or offer about everything is a portal. So pain is a portal. So we're not resisting it. What is it offering? Where is it taking us? The same with interests. People will say all the time in sessions, oh, I'm really drawn to Peru. I'm really drawn to Egypt, for example. I'm really drawn to medicinal herbs, and what we simply look at there, or we feel together, is where does that come from? What are the lifetimes that are connected to that, or the aspects that are actually interested in that? And you can even bring that question to your gatekeeper and ask them, can you show me the lifetimes where our aspects who live in Peru, we would do it present tense, the aspect timelines in Peru, and maybe you'll see them. Maybe you'll just open right up, and maybe you'll just see some flashes of something. Downloads and dreams are very common. Some synchronicities might line up around suddenly you've been invited to go to a city in Peru. For me, I get a lot of activation from physically going. I don't need to physically go, but of course, if I'm really getting, for example, Glastonbury, Avalon was really big in my soul, and I felt this for about 7 years before we finally went there. 10 months in the physical, and the whole time we were there, it was about connecting with different aspects. I think I ended up with 5 or something, and each one held a different piece of the soul puzzle. Even feeling it after we left there. So part of why you're drawn somewhere is for a lifetime's reconciliation piece, and it isn't random or coincidental. It's very purposeful, but you can begin to be tuned into that, and that helps you understand more about what your interests are and what they actually signify, which people love starting to put the dots together, right? Yeah. Start connecting the dots of your own soul is such an enlivening and empowering experience. Yes. Honestly, I love that for myself and for others.
Yeah. We'll be thinking now to give people an introduction.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Not sure what will happen within this transmission that we offer, but really it was about opening up the soul field, just starting to open up your soul field, and what we just said mentally. Seeing, I have my third eye chakra bowl and the crown chakra bowl, which obviously helps with the seeing and the hearing and the receiving. So just whatever comes through in this moment that might be helpful. It might come in actual seeing things, but it might just be an opened out feeling, and that's great too. I really went off on this one.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
Change our microphone settings a moment here.
Yeah.
So you can hear the bowls.
Okay. close your eyes, of course, and start to bring your focus inward. Allowing the sound to open you up. And we just want to open up the soul field, feel it like an eye that's opening up. Vast landscape. And you might feel to tune into already the pyramids in Egypt as a portal for Lionsgate. Maybe you see or feel a soul aspect connected to Egypt, in the desert, looking to the night sky, or in some kind of ceremony connected to Lionsgate. Or you have some sense of feeling in your body or your heart. Just allowing whatever it is in this now to come forward. We want to create an opening in your soul field where the veils can start to lift in the most self-loving way for you and your body to be able to integrate into your life and into your awareness, into relevancy. So that the patterns of suffering or heaviness or feelings of not wanting to be here, or wanting life to end, wanting to escape this planet, so they can come into a resolution inside of your heart and in your soul. Which is what the Divine Mother wants for you. So that you may be in peace on all levels. If you're in a sacred union partnership, you might take this moment to feel into any connection to Egypt with your beloved soul aspects in another timeline. Whatever union is between you and this now, around this.
As you allow your tones to come through, whatever's intuitively coming through, I invite you to feel it as a support stream from your divine self, tuning you, opening your heart, your curiosity to hold more of this veil lifting with pace and with grace and with support, that you get to feel all that's here between you and these soul aspects. Feel the sonic waveform of your own voice letting in your divine self with your tones joining ours.
I see that we're specifically bringing some light to these Egyptian timelines that can be quite dark and especially heavy with false light. So just bringing some love from divine union, the inner masculine and feminine, divine mother, divine father, from our hearts of our union to yours. And we'll trust that wherever that bit of time took you, that transmission, that it was what was needed, most needed in this moment.
Thank you.
If you wanted to share, we have a few minutes left. You can also share afterwards, of course, in the comments on the recording, but anything you experienced just there, even if it wasn't necessarily a specific piece or unfolding, I didn't feel it to be too specific in what was guided. We decided that ahead of time.
To leave room.
To leave room, and again, feeling like this is something that could open out even in dreams. Dreams are a big way that our veil drops.
Yes,
the astral body opens up.
I feel today we tuned in together with each of us. We tuned in the desire to feel these lifetimes and the intention, and sending out that message from your heart field into the quantum field of your soul, and inviting the support in and the curiosity and awareness. So let's trust that happened here. We're laying a foundation for you to come into this awareness and heart bridge to these timelines.
Yeah, that's really feels like the upgrade.
Yeah.
That's possible if we're trusting that all will be revealed in right time and place, and we're showing up in heart readiness for that, and especially related to the emotional trauma healing from this life that allows for this to open up, allows for it to be safe enough within our beings. That's actually the biggest piece of it, not if you actually have clairvoyance or not. We all do. We all have all of these gifts. It's just, is it the right time? Is it safe? So that was the thing about opening up Egypt. It's like there's a lot there. And so I don't want to just assume we're going to go on a journey and you're going to open it up. It's more like, let's just calibrate and take it in. And if there are any feelings that start coming up, and maybe you even went to something that's happened this life to you, that was like, why did that come up? But it could somehow be something that wants to be felt first, a part of you that wants to be felt, and then a deeper going into something like Egypt.
And of course, we'd love to help you personally with this, which we do.
In sessions, obviously, we can go much deeper and specifically with you. Oh, Kat, hello.
Hello, Kat. I'd like to read your comment.
Yeah.
Kat, I was shown these large mushrooms somewhere. Some were more like giant tree mushrooms. I felt like a giant pterodactyl. She was powerful, and the mushrooms were so loved and beautiful. Oh, God.
Have you done? I feel like asking, have you done mushrooms? The mycelium network is quite a
Thank you, Kat.
It actually can be a way to open up the soul field, whether you actually take them or not, but the network itself is a network. And you can tune into it. Maybe the mushrooms want you to tune into it. And that's very interesting, though. What a portal.
Maury, yes, glad to have you here. Know thyself. It's the best knowing, isn't it? Thank you both in love and light. Thank you.
We would say know and feel yourself.
Yes.
The feeling part.
Thank you for being here, Maury.
Allows for the knowing, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yay.
I think Rihanna had a comment too.
Oh, Rihanna said, some really interesting tones came out of me by connecting to Egypt. I felt an aspect that I had opened out a little while ago and felt she definitely has a sacred union story that wants to unfold, though she wasn't quite ready to share with me just yet. I can feel her connection to Jasper's soul for sure. Yay. Whoa.
Interesting. And interesting, Jasper wasn't able to make it tonight. So you had that experience by yourself. With a kitty in your lap, I imagine, that you just got and rescued. Might be a connection there.
And Kat had some more here.
Oh, yeah. Not just the mushrooms.
And then at the end, a woman with yellow hair wearing a white robe and a golden crown appeared. This is getting specific. She asked my heart requests. Whoa, it was so sweet. God, yes. Whew.
That might be your gatekeeper, actually, asking what it is that you want to see and feel.
Oh,
that feels like a really sweet bridge.
Cat. And she also saw an Egyptian bird with a crown. I kept seeing it. Kept seeing the letter X. Whoa, Kat, that is some beautiful access.
We could go into what that's connected to if you wanted a session at some point, Kat, because it feels like you have quite a ripe access there.
Yeah. Rihanna says that Jasper actually did make it. He was double booked scheduled, but he did make it for most of it.
Oh, okay.
And with a kitty, of course, we are running a bit of a cat rescue,
which is very Egyptian.
And and feline Egyptian. Hello, yeah, right. The Lion's Gate. Lions are felines, right?
I wish you could share pictures on. I don't think you can. Can you in the comments? I don't think you can share a picture of her. Well, share soon on social media a little video or something so everyone can see her.
And Paul Seraphin, thank you for being here. You're feeling a buzzing in your third eye. I was holding this unique stone, and it's a third eye stone.
Yeah.
And so your third eye is buzzing, and that's an activation.
That is,
isn't it?
I don't know if you can hear it without the noise, but this is the third eye bowl. I played it quite a bit.
You have to play it extra loud, I think.
So yeah, it was activating. We also have, we'll share them in the description, but we also have chakra series videos on YouTube that we've done for each of the chakras. So that can help kind of open things up. And then your gatekeeper kind of sees that happening and they're like, oh, you want to open this up. And then that kind of comes together. So you might get into some of those as well.
Oh, Anna. Sorry, I'm getting your name pronunciation right now. It's Anna. Anna, having a very specific and interesting dreams the last 2 nights. In today's transmission connection to Egypt, I got a feeling sense of an aspect with great beauty and gifting, yet feeling unseen, hidden in the shadows, playing second, feeling repressed, have to play small, and in relationship, a sense of oppression and deception. Wow, what a portal to go into. I feel your heart creating a bridge already, Anna.
Yeah, that aspect feels interesting. So that's the other thing, whatever ways they're suppressed in their lifetime because of persecution, or she has her reasons, right, that are probably very compelling, then how that bleeds through or comes into your life, and the ways that you express your gifts or your beauty, or as a woman. Because also what I found is that relating with these different soul aspects, it's like a tapestry. These are essences of us that then are allowed expression through our being. Yeah.
Thank you, Manai,
I'm
for
glad you
being
could
here.
make it.
Demetra offers that I sure felt the Egyptian timeline open up for me this morning, and in sacred union conversation with my mate.
Wow, okay.
Will be interesting to feel what the meditation brings out for me and my parts. Yes.
And you said something about afterglow, and we're in that too today. So that was part of our. I was surprised I was so on point, actually, because
Yes.
I've been feeling this all day, being in your field this morning,
Yes.
and I felt that come through in the tones as well.
Yes.
The harmonizing that occurs in sacred sexuality. So I think that's why I felt, if there are any sacred unions in the space, or you have one or you want one, felt like an opportunity there, because obviously there is a lot of karmic energies and aspects to sacred union, which we have felt over the years. Well, thank you. Richness again. We do have, as we mentioned, a group call, which is 2 hours of a space like this. Then we also extend the meditation longer, and we open up to sharing on camera for those who want to. So if you're drawn to have an actual exchange with us, that's a way you can do it and be part of a group. That's on the 18th of August. And of course, a one-on-one session, we do a free intro over Zoom. If you just want to talk to us about it, where would we go? What would we do? We have you answer a few questions beforehand. What's your greatest suffering? What's your biggest desire? What's your awakening journey been like? That gives us a sense of you. We have that, and then we go into the one-on-one, which is 90 minutes, range between sliding scale between 50 and 100 euros, depending on what you can afford, how often you want to meet, that kind of thing.
For 90 minutes together.
Yeah.
And those are event listings on our website, as well as the events on our Facebook feeds. So
divineselfembodiment.com has all of that info. So thank you, especially those who join us on YouTube. It definitely feels good to be transmitting there. And you can take in the other videos in this series on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
So is there a last comment, Demetra?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Demetra will finish out.
It's been interesting to have our sessions in sync with the Lovestream. Been a true journey, and continues to be so with myself, the divine, and parts. Yes. Oh, okay, there we go.
Yeah, we just had a rich session yesterday, Demetra. So I'm glad these live streams are supportive for those in sessions with us and those who are not yet. It feels like a good bridge. So once we finish the Lionsgate series, we will probably go back to kind of just showing up with whatever we're inspired by, I imagine.
Yeah.
But this was just a specific guidance to offer and focus while we had this particular portal. So.
Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you so much.
We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
Reach out on private chat as well, and or public.